Right, start at the bottom.
Shall I say it? Yeah, shit. We'll see who's the biggest wanker. We're back with another video. I'm excited for this one. I've got a special guest with me today. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know Brad from the World's videos, 2022, 23 and 24, because he travelled with me, was my roomie, good support, good friend of mine, but also another men's physique competitor in the natural world. Something I want to do with this channel, as I've explained before, is keep sharing more and more information. So Brad isn't a pro, not yet, but he's determined to become one, and he's having to show resilience and keep going, and has his own journey going on. So I think it's good for me to share the mindset of someone who's competing already, but looking to turn pro, and what they're learning along the way, and what their mindset is going forwards into future years. So Brad, thank you for coming.
No worries.
I'm excited to get into this workout. We're going to train pull today, so we're going to go through my pull workout, and we'll give some training tips and everything along the way, as well as me picking Brad's mind, Brad being able to pick my mind, and us share that with you guys along the way. So let's get into it. You always go narrow with your stance like that, yeah, to feel more comfortable.
How do you mean, like my...
Your feet are just real close together, whereas
I don't notice, to be fair.
I'm about shoulder width apart. Yeah, you just feel comfortable there.
Yeah, I don't think about it.
Yeah. So, do you know roughly what weight you'll be using for a bent over row?
I do 110 for about 8-ish.
Let's go 2 plates aside then. Exercise 1, I like to start with a heavy compound on my workouts. Building up from a lighter weight, working up through multiple joints, getting everything warmed up, and then going into our working sets. Now, with the barbell row, there's 2 differences. We're going to do a different one each. So Brad's actually going overhand, I'm going underhand. So this will, 1, be personal preference, but 2, also dependent on the areas you want to work. So for me, having good range of motion, I can get my hands comfortably this way, but also it allows me to tuck my elbows in a little bit more, and I can focus on driving the elbows back. And the position I'm going to in is work a bit more through the lower lat and the thickness through there. Whereas Brad is going to come wider with his hands slightly, but overhand, and that's going to mean his elbows go out slightly more, which is going to work a bit more through the upper back as well. So yeah, just a slight difference, and it's just about knowing what area you want to target and then how to do that. And then, like I say, we're just doing it a little bit different between the 2 of us based on what feels comfortable, but also the areas that we want to work through this exercise for our own physiques. The only thing I'd say on your form is, I don't know why you jolt at the knees.
I don't know why I do it.
I'd take that out if you can. I think you're taking away from focusing on driving your elbows because you're spending so much time driving through your legs.
Yeah.
So even if it means stripping it back a little bit, just try and lock in a little bit more. Take this away, keep them stiff, but then just focus on where your elbows are traveling more than anything.
I might knock it down then and go to 100.
Yeah, just take it down a little bit. It's always good just to reset your movements. Do you film it? Do you film your sets?
I film it and I see myself doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the weakness lies with it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's just too much, like I say, just strip it back with me.
Yeah, okay. This is one benefit here. So I just said to Brad, do you film your sets? So I'm one of these people as well that will joke about people using tripods, and I'll do it myself. But there is a big benefit to it. If you film your sets, you might notice things that you can't feel as you're doing the movement. So I'm all for it. Film your sets, have a look at the video, and you'll notice little things that you can change to improve the exercise, and that's where it's about stripping it back, resetting the movement a little bit, film it again, check it, and through time your form's going to improve just through the simple thing of filming your set and watching it back on your phone. We all have our phones on us all the time. Why not use it as a tool to improve your training? And if people want to joke about us using tripods and all the rest of it, leave them to it. Ah! I'm about to go into my back off set now. So what you'll see from that first set was I've overloaded the bar with 3 plates aside, which is very heavy for me. But I think what we need to be aware of, a lot of people getting into training these days are talking about what's optimal. And what I see confused is people thinking something's optimal because it isolates an area. This is not an isolation exercise for one, but also what can be optimal is sometimes doing cheat reps a little bit as well. And again, there's something different between cheating on something by making the movement unsafe to doing something by cheating and using a little bit of momentum to overload the bar with a little bit more weight and a little bit of momentum to keep the bar moving. Because what I did there with the 3 plates aside is overload the bar, like I say. I'm using a bit of hip drive at times to move it, but then the feeling I get at the bottom in the stretch from the amount of weight on the bar is incredible. And then going later into the workout is when I'll be able to isolate the movement a little bit more that I'm doing on my back and work the back in that way. So it's about knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, when to use the cheat methods a little bit, and is that not going to be more optimal long-term for growth of a muscle? I think so personally, and I think a lot of physiques out there that you see maybe in the olden days a bit more, years ago, where they were driving using heavy barbells a lot more, and they grow amazing backs. That can be why. So yeah, it's about knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then just applying those methods to your own training. If you have any questions on that, feel free to drop me a message. I'm more than happy to help people anytime. Let's work together, get your training on point, and get your back growing as well. So Brad actually did the same as me in terms of he competed last year in multiple shows, and also he's taking the year off this year to grow, improve, and we're both going to come back to the stage next year. This is actually the first time I've seen Brad since he came to Worlds last year, so it's a good, what, 4 months later now?
Pretty much, yeah.
And I find 4 months is a good amount of time, like, to really reflect on the prep as a whole, everything that you learned. Almost if you've had some disappointments, get your mind back into a more positive place as well. When you're deep into the prep, as you know, you're a bit emotional, you feel a certain way, and then you come away from it and you almost start to see, you know what, I did myself proud and all the rest of that. But even like off the cuff now, I've not asked you this personally yet, but what do you feel last year was like your biggest challenge in your prep, and also what was the lesson that you've taken from that? Because I say all the time to people, like, even if you don't get what you want, you'll learn something, and then that's something we can give back to help other people. So especially while the camera's here, like, what is something that you've learned that you feel is a good message to other people along from what you did last year?
I think as a bodybuilder or a physique athlete, you're always going to have an orientation of perfection. You want to perfect absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Going into it, I think last season I was in that sort of mindset of like, I've got to perfect everything, I've got to get everything X, Y, and Z, block by block. Realistically, you're going to miss something. And I think you're only human to do that. You're not a robot at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, reflecting upon that is how I then actions the rest of those sequences.
What, just like your diet, your training, or?
I think realistically more nearest to competition. So your diet,
your
nutrition,
like the peak and stuff.
Yeah, so the peak and stuff.
Yeah.
I realised there was a peaking protocol I had, and it was like my protocol.
Yeah.
And I went on the stage and I completely forgot about it. Completely forgot about it. And I ended up winning that show.
Yeah.
And it made me realise, in hindsight, it doesn't actually make much of a difference at all.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't win that one, I probably would have beaten myself about it and I'm going like, oh shit, no, this is terrible. You know, I've got to make sure I amend this next time. But realistically, it's not going to make much of a difference. If you've like nailed everything during your prep,
you can be proud of what you've done.
You can be proud of what you've done, and it's going to be very minimal what happens on the actual day.
Yeah.
So if you fail or fall short of something, your meal timing's not perfect, it's never going to be perfect.
In that last week.
In that last little bit, you know, don't beat yourself about it, because
I think that's like a perfect message. I think people undervalue the day-to-day consistency like throughout the weeks of a prep, and overvalue the minute things within a few days leading up to a show.
Yeah.
And I actually listened to a podcast myself after my prep, and I was the same. Like, I had so many shows that I was trying to peak for, you almost become too obsessed with the peaking process, trying to nail it. And then I listened to a podcast, and it was actually the Jay Cutler podcast, and they were talking about the Olympia.
Yeah.
And Derek Lunsford was the previous champion, come back and he didn't nail his peak.
Yeah.
And then they made such a good point, and there was like, Phil Heath's a 7-time Mr. Olympia, but there's a reason why people talk about 2011 Phil Heath or 2013 Phil Heath.
Yeah.
Because they were at his best.
Yeah.
Now, for 7-time Mr. Olympia's only peaked twice in his career, then why are we being so hard on ourselves when we're not peaking every show?
Yeah.
So I think there's something very important in that for anyone that does compete. really do not overstress the peaking process. Do what you can. And yeah, the less you stress about, the better you're going to be anyway.
Obsess less about it. That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
the best sort of
Just
thing
be proud of your prep and be excited to get on stage.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you do your back days? Do you do like a compound then into a lat movement, or do you mix it up a little bit?
So I'll typically start with a row, because that's where I can overload the weight to start, which is what I always like to do. So I'll have one session where it's that barbell row, and then the other session I'll do the T-bar row. There's slight differences in the grip, so slight difference in the area it's going to hit. But then I also like to then do something more lat biased after that. And then I'll go more into upper back later in the workout, a little bit of rear delts and then biceps. Nice. So I'll generally do that for, like say, both pull workouts. I have 2 different pull workouts. I'll do it like that. Nice. But then also, again, for anyone, it's like just more about what areas you want to hit. Luckily, my back is something that I feel is quite balanced. It's not like upper dominant or lower dominant. So then I'm able to balance the session quite evenly. Whereas if someone's lats were really lacking, but their upper back was real thick, I'd put a bit more lat focus in. Yeah, makes sense. Also, one rule of thumb I like to stick by is for each body part to do at least one unilateral movement. So where I'm working one side at a time. I just think it's good to do that because you might have some strength imbalances there. So as much as I've overloaded the weight at the barbell row at the beginning, working both sides together, I then like to isolate each side on its own and then moving on to the rest of the workout. Stay up straight, Brad, nice and stretched at the top. That's it, because you're closing it down. Good.
Yeah, they're good straps and you just don't come off.
Yeah, you just look like you're losing a little bit of the stretch because obviously fully short is going to be down here, but you're losing the stretch because you're almost staying down here like this, whereas you want to get right up there and then drive all the way down.
Nice one.
So something I've spoke to people a lot about at the moment is even like as a bodybuilder, as a pro and stuff, like life goes on, right?
Yeah.
So it's all right having a training plan that's like, I train this body part on this day, but then what happens if that's a busy day in your like personal life, you want to go out with your partner or, you know, you got a family thing on or whatever. So I've actually made my off-season training really flexible because of that fact that my off-season's going to be 18 months long. For 18 months, you're not going to be able to stick to training the same body part on the same day. So I'm rotating push-pull legs. Ideally, I like to go push-pull legs rest. But then if the rest day needs to be on a different day than that 4th day because I've got something going on, like I'm traveling or whatever, it makes sense to move it. So I might run 4 training days in a row, have a rest, then 2 training days, and then have the next rest. So how many days am I training a week is going to be dependent on the week and what I've got going on in the rest of my life. And then I think that leads to long-term success in the sense that I can stick to that plan rather than get frustrated with myself because I'm not stuck to, oh, push is meant to be on a Tuesday. Now, like again, focusing on the minor things that don't really make a difference, you get stressed about it, you get annoyed. Let's set up a training plan so it suits your lifestyle. That's the most important thing for anyone.
Ties in literally what you just mentioned before, perfectionism. Most people want that, but realistically, it's not going to happen.
Exactly, and then I'm actually progressing better as a result of this method because I'm not training on the days I'm really tired because I've been busy all day and training later at night, or you know, I'm training on the days where the training fits better and taking my rest days when I'm doing something else. So I think that's so important for anyone is set your training up around what you've got going on for the most part, rather than, you know, your life being dictated by your training, which is different when you're on a competition prep, right? That's your priority. But aside from that, you can make good progress, good strength gains, good muscle gains, setting everything up around everything else you've got going on.
It's kind of creating structure, I suppose, and kind of having deviation if needed.
Exactly. Okay, so we're doing a dual arm pull down now with a narrow grip, which is going to bring more range of motion than going wide. And also we want to focus a bit more on the lat once again, whereas if we go wide, and we're leaning back a little bit, that's going to be more upper back. Brad's about to do his set, so I'm going to give him a couple of cues here. But a lot of mistakes I see people making with this, I'm just going to put the weight a little bit lighter. So let's simplify this. Lat, pull down. So you want to sit upright and then drive the elbows down into the waist. We don't want to be leaning back here. And another common mistake I see is people will start crunching like this to try and get the weight down, whereas you just using other areas to cheat. So keep the chest up, keep upright, drive the elbows down, all the way into the hip with the elbows, hands to the chest. Yep. Nice, Brad, that's it, don't crunch, you see. Even if you hit failure, you've got other exercises to go. Good, press.
So I looked on your Instagram and saw you doing the underhand one. I was naturally using the rope, but realistically, if you have your underhand, you drive your elbows in more.
That's exactly
you get such more contraction.
Yeah, so with the lats, as we've spoke about, we're trying to drive the elbows back. And it's only recently I've started doing this myself. I think I saw it on YouTube, maybe Hani Rambod, fanboying him as usual. But basically, if you do a straight arm pull down and your hands are this way using a rope, it becomes easy to bend at the elbow this way and almost use your biceps a little bit more to bring the weight down. And also, another one people do is they start with a bent elbow and then start extending at the elbow and using their triceps, so one or the other. Whereas when I bring my elbows down, tuck them in, hands underhand grip, it just allows me to really focus more on driving the elbows without bending at the elbow. So yeah, I feel it's locked in a lot more on that movement, and that's why I end up feeling it a lot more in my lats and doing that way. And with it being the last lat movement, let's perfect the technique now as opposed to earlier where we're loading the weight up a little bit. Perfect the technique and burn out the lats to finish on them before we go into the upper back. So this now isn't about the amount of weight we're lifting, it's about the quality of the rep and really isolating that muscle that we want to finish off. So yeah, you go first, have a little warm-up set, and then we'll go from there. Good? Ooh, yeah. Feeling it. How's your back feeling now?
Such a good contraction, that one.
Yeah.
Love it.
Very important for men's physique, guys, the lats as well.
100%.
It's the one muscle that's involved in every pose by flaring out and creating your taper. So, again, these kind of movements year round, they're going to make a big difference next time you get on stage next year.
I mean, touching on that, what do you think is your weaker point you want to bring up this year?
I think it's just more of everything. I think like I've got good balance, but one thing I've learned, especially in the pros now, is the size is getting bigger and bigger. So the more I can add, the more fullness I can have. It's only going to make me better and better. So it's just about balancing everything out. Like I was saying, even just this workout, the back workout is balanced out between the body parts that are being worked, but even the training program, just everything. Yeah. Just more of everything. And I think that should be the attitude for most people. There's not many people who specifically need to work on just one area. Yeah. For the most part, if we all just keep growing, we're going to look better and better. So.
Right, and again, drive. Come on. Nice.
It's just that sticking point, just about there.
You just did another one though. It's like going. Okay, another one. A lot of time people have like miscommunication. One person says one thing, another person says another thing. Like RIR. How far you should go, how much rep max you should be putting in. Yeah. What's your take on that? Do you just kind of go balls to the wall sort of thing, just go for it? Or are you more science-based of sorts?
So again, like, people all think, so it's not every exercise to failure, and it's not every every rep with perfect form.
Yeah.
But it's knowing that there's a balance there. So like I say, if I do my first 2 exercises and I've managed to get the numbers up in the book, and I've watched the video back but the form isn't perfect, then I know, right, that's my number next time and I'll aim for the same. But then I'll go into the next exercises, focusing a lot more on the form because I haven't done perfect form over there. So it's just, I think, a lot about balancing over the course of your session. So if you put the question to me for a definitive answer, am I like focusing on reps in reserve or am I balls to the wall? Yeah. I'm a bit of both. And I think that's the right rule of thumb for anyone.
100%.
Yeah.
I think when you do your compounds, you have that ability to kind of like, okay, let's push it a little bit in terms of reps and stuff.
As long as it's safe. So there's different doing a deadlift and like, I don't know, your upper back's rounding a little bit, as opposed to doing a deadlift and your lower back's rounding, which is completely unsafe.
Yeah.
So I might not be perfectly retracting my shoulders because the weight's overloading my lower back a bit more.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Getting a stimulus there.
Because it's not unsafe. Whereas if I was to do a deadlift and my lower back's rounding, we're in a position that's very vulnerable, now we're doing things that are unsafe while cheating. So cut that out, don't be doing that. So it's again, it's a balance.
I think one thing as well is when you're younger and you just start in the gym, you have lesser muscle to play around with, so you can't always find that muscle connection.
Yeah.
So that's when it's very pivotal to probably be more science-based and be like careful about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then when you experience yourself, you can kind of gauge like, okay, this works for me.
Well, yeah, training and movements are a skill. Like I trained with a young guy the other week who hasn't been training that long. But it was really interesting, like just getting him to do a barbell row. He wasn't able to overload the weight because as soon as he got to a certain weight, he's shaking because the stabilisation hasn't been trained yet to overload the muscle in that movement.
Yeah.
So now he's not doing that movement to overload his back muscles and get his back to grow. He's doing it to train that stabilisation so that in the years to come he can then use that movement as something to help him grow and get stronger on. So yeah, everyone's at a different point in their training journey. Everyone's doing things for different reasons. And that's why it's so important to focus on yourself and not do what someone else is doing. Look at what you're doing and focus on your own training plan rather than thinking, oh, he's doing that, so I need to do that.
I'm still chasing that 140 there.
So obviously you competed the same as me, WNBF 2021. We both did 2021, we both did 2022 and went to the Worlds. So Brad actually qualified for the Worlds in 2022 when I went as well. And obviously you competed last year, and I know like you well enough to know that your goals are set quite high, and same as me, we didn't quite like reach the standards we'd expected from ourselves last year, which again was all a learning curve. What would you say is the difference from 2021-22 to last year? Because I don't think it's necessarily like a lot of people can look at things and go, oh, okay, you didn't do as well as last time, but it's not because your physique hasn't got better, because it clearly has if you put pictures next to each other. Natural bodybuilding is growing like so quick, which is amazing, and the standard is just going through the roof. Like, is that something that you noticed? Is that something that you would say to people going forwards? Like, yeah, to keep your expectations not too high because it's just getting better and better each year. Is that something that you've noticed in the years that you've been competing?
The best thing, or the thing that you have noticed, yes, it has. You get some people just very genetically gifted and they come out of nowhere and they just literally ace the stage. And it's like, well, I've been training for about 6-7 years and it's taken me this long to get to this point. When someone just trumps you at that point, it's going to be expected. Some people are going to have that. The way I reflect on that, and admittedly when I didn't get to the Worlds in 24, I was a bit gutted. But then I realistically look at it, it's like the journey is the main sort of igniter of sorts, that makes sense. So I've seen the journey I've come from, I've got to this point here. And the quote I always go by is that the bigger the dragon, the bigger the hero, the bigger the journey, the bigger the sort of success you have, the better story you have to tell about it, the more characteristics you have to be able to kind of say, I did that and I've got here, where someone might just come out of nowhere and they go, well, I've not done that, but I've got here. There's no story to tell for
Yeah, you've had to do more years. Like I say that myself, like the year I won my pro card felt like the best moment ever, but that was because of I knew what I'd gone through in the years leading up to it.
Yeah.
If I was genetically gifted, just came out of nowhere and just like did my first competition and won my pro card, I wouldn't have even got that feeling because it wouldn't have felt as hard earned.
There's no
so I think there's a lot
to
of
it.
beauty in like things being harder to earn, and not a lot of people can dedicate themselves to the hard stuff. So if you can be one of those people that just dedicates yourself to it, the harder that it is, then you can fill yourself with a lot of pride. And I think that that comes with a lot of confidence going forward. Like people can say to someone like, I don't know, even myself, people think I'm this confident person now where I'm actually not. It's actually come through years of not being confident, putting myself through hard shit and then coming out of it. And then I'm like, hang on a minute, I should be confident because I know I can get through this, this, this and this and achieve what I want to achieve. So I think anyone that's not confident should see that as like a sign to do things that they're low on confidence about, whether that's getting in shape, whether that's getting on stage. because again, you can easily compare to someone else, but their journey's not the same as yours, and they're not feeling the same feelings you feel. Yeah. So I think that's amazing, and I think that's something, like you say, you feel like a fire's been lit in you now, and that's only going to make your training more enjoyable, like us training together. Yeah. And this is why I love being around Brad, because he lives with that passion and that fight. So yeah, I love it. See, I can see perfectly here, Brad's keeping his elbows high, and I can see all these muscles working here, even through his t-shirt. This is perfect for the upper back. Yeah, keep it going. Good. Then squeeze, good.
That's the best compliment I had from you. You can see muscles coming from my shirt.
And that, when I've seen you on stage, that's the best compliment I've ever given you. Sorry, Brad, but you look better with your t-shirt on.
The last one was in Germany. He goes, you know what's really good about you, Brad? I thought, oh, what is it? Biceps, triceps? Your haircut's really good.
His hair would not move on show day, and then I started nicking his hair product. Last exercise now, before we move into biceps. So we've done the upper back row. Now we're gonna isolate the rear delts a little bit more, burn these out, and then it's onto the biceps. The fun bit, I love Brad. I love Brad. I know Brad loves training biceps.
Triceps.
Classic physique guy.
Yeah, a bit arm. Yeah, arm deep. Yeah.
It's a throwback. Brad was just asking me about my t-shirt, Natty No Juice. So it's our friend Gregor's brand, who lives in Scotland, also competes with WNBF. But I actually wore this t-shirt a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realise that on the back it says no tren. And then a guy came up to me, he's like, saying about no tren. I was like, what? Have I just offended him with my t-shirt? Then I thought, oh well, shouldn't take tren, should he? Let's do 2 sets. We'll do 1 heavy, overloading the movement a little bit by going alternating arm, and then we'll do a real strict dual arm set, keeping the palms forward. So obviously on the alternating set, you can twist a little. On the lighter set, keep the palms facing forward, keep isolation on there. And we'll do it like that. Let's go. Felt that, yeah? I need a little rest, so I'm going to go literally 12.5s.
12.5?
Real strict. Because it's like we really want to, after using the heavier weight,
yeah.
Obviously we might be cheating a little bit on some reps. So I'd rather go too light on this.
Yeah.
And then as a result, if I go too light and I feel halfway through the set this is a little bit light, I can just slow it down. Yeah. So almost like overdo the tempo a little bit to make it heavy enough.
I think realistically, when you're doing the higher end intensity one, you're initiating the high threshold of hours anyway. By the end, you're just trying to shape the muscles, I like to call it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd rather get a good squeeze than go too heavy and end up having to cheat when that was almost like what I did a little bit on the set before.
I think it's
now I'm going to focus on squeezing it, slowing it down, perfect reps. So that's what I'll do on this.
All right, let's finish it. Yeah. Come on, squeeze, squeeze.
One little cheat rep to finish. Yep, good choice of weight.
Yeah, buddy.
15 would have been too heavy.
I feel like I want to do 10s now.
That's it. Get a good stretch and hold at the bottom slightly. There you go. Good.
It's harder than you think, isn't it?
It starts easy.
Yeah.
That's it, 'cause you've got that technique locked in now, so keep it the same. That's it. Yes. Little cheat rep to finish. There we go. Yes.
Oh, Christ.
That is how you'll grow your biceps. So we've got one last exercise to go. I'm going to set a little challenge for Brad.
Oh,
I know Brad's single. I think Brad's single.
I have, yeah.
So you should be quite good at this one.
Any takers?
You should be quite good at this one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to put Brad through my little forearm finisher. So one area people neglect is the forearms. But it's very important because if you've got skinny forearms, it's going to elongate your arm as an illusion. And especially for men's physique with this hand here, you want to make that arm bigger all the way down to stop it looking from long, skinny. You want big, thick forearms. So I never skip forearms, and neither should you. Whether you're getting on stage or not, you want bigger forearms as well, because it's going to just help make your arms look bigger all around. So the challenge, Brad. So we're going to start from the bottom, and your challenge is using the wrist, alternating sides, is to curl this up. Now I could just let it roll down and cheat, but I'm actually going to
Control negative.
down. I'm giving you an advantage here because I'm burning them out a little bit already, showing you. And I want to see
You're going to win anyway.
Excuse the pun again. I want to see how many times you can get it up. And then back down, back up. Let's see if I can beat him. So he's going first, and then I'll see if I can beat him.
Right, start at the bottom.
Shall I say it? Yeah, fuck it. We'll see who's the biggest wanker. Oh, you're cheating because you rested the weight on the floor. Come up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Higher, higher, higher with your hands. There you go.
You're doing it quite fast, so I think.
Higher with your hands. Don't straighten your arms. Your arms want to be bent like 90 degrees. Sorry. Get them arms bent. That's it.
It's harder than it looks.
That's it. I want your hands like chest height. So you've done 2 so far, right?
Yeah.
Hands high up. Hands high up. Come on, come on.
Come on. Come
Keep going, Brad. Oh, hands higher. It's not moving.
It is.
I'm in his head, it's not moving. What's that, 3.5?
That was 3.5.
Okay, I've got 3.5 to beat.
Oh, mate.
I actually don't know if I'll beat that, to be honest, and I've done this before. Oh, he's put me on the spot. He was cheating a little bit. I'd rather his hands not be down here.
I'm a dirty cheat.
I want them up here. But okay, let's go.
Oh, man, I can't even move my hands.
3.5 to beat. So I need to get 4. 1. 2. It's burning already. Here's for 3.
Looking good.
3. I know how quick it starts to burn though. Right, this to win.
Come on, let's do it. It's going, come on. I think he's beaten me already.
There's 4.
There's 4.
I win, but I'm going to go back down and try and go back up.
Bragging rights now. Go on, let's go. Come on, finish it. Come on, get up.
There we go, that's 5. That makes Brad the biggest loser, but me the biggest wanker. What a way to finish the session. Session all done. How did you find that?
My hands are shaking, so that's good.
Yeah, and you've got to drive how long home?
Oh Christ, I'm gonna be like this. 4.5 hours.
That's dedication, so massive thank you for making the drive to come and train with me. Like I say, we haven't caught up for what, 4 months now?
Yeah.
So it means a lot. You travelling to come see me, come and train. Obviously share your knowledge as well with the people who watch my videos. So yeah, awesome workout. I think we're happy to wrap it up there. That was a great little challenge to finish, lots of fun. Great to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, mate.
We will be back with more videos. I'm going to be getting more and more people onto the channel, talking all different things, training, competing wise. So yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Always feel free to message me if there's anything you've learned from this video or anything you want to discuss with me that we've talked about. And yeah, keep following along. And if you want to speak to me in depth about how I can help you, I am taking on more and more people for coaching. I want to help more and more people, whether that's just watching my videos, whether it's dropping me a DM and me answering you. I'm more than happy to give out my knowledge for free. And then for you guys that want to work with me a lot closer, one-to-one, get in touch for coaching. I'll be more than happy to help. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for coming, Brad, and I'll see you all on the next video.